discussing about engineering mathematics, specifically on the topic of analytic geometry or the coordinate geometry. So, kailan nga ba or paano nagsimula yung analytic geometry? Bakit tayo nag-aaral nito ngayon? So, nun kasi, si Rene Descartes, nasa kwarto siya noon, and then may fly or may langaw sa ceiling niya sa kisame. And then, he tried to find ways on how to define the location of the fly on the ceiling. So, with that idea, nag-come up siya sa pagbuo ng Cartesian coordinate system, which is widely used ngayon when defining the location in Google Maps, when we do lot surveying, and when we solve 3D 4 systems. So, to start with, ang i-discuss natin ngayon specifically ay points and lines and slope and angles. So, when given a point x sub 1 and y sub 1, we call this pair as coordinates. So, this pair of points, x sub 1 and y sub 1 is coordinates, wherein the x sub 1 is the abscissa and the y sub 1 is the ordinate. So, in analytic geometry, that's how we formally call this pair of points, x sub 1 and y sub 1. And then, if we're given the two sets or two pairs of points, so x sub 1, y sub 1, and we have another pair, x sub 2 and y sub 2, we can connect them and form a line. Wherein we can also find the distance, the slope of the line. So, let's have an example of a pair of points so that we can apply the distance formula, the slope, and the angles. So, let's try. Wait. Okay, guys. So here we have a Cartesian plane, wherein this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So, usually, pag nagsasolve tayo sa college, ito na lang, positive quadrant na to yung ginagamit natin. So, we have x and we have the y-axis. So, ito yung origin. So, let's say this is a point and this is also a point. So, this is the x sub 1 and y sub 1. This is the x sub 2 and y sub 2. So, when we connect them, we form a line segment wherein yung line segment na yan, meron siyang distance and slope. So, paano nga ba natin dinedefine ang slope? So, slope is represented by the variable m, wherein it is the change in y over the change in x, or what we also call rise over run. So, paano ba natin ito sinusolve? So, we simply divide the change in y and change in x. So, we subtract y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Excuse me. So, and then, so, doon natin makukuha yung slope niya. So, this is the change in y and change in x. So, all throughout, same lang yung slope niya. So, paano ba nga ba natin ma-identify kung positive or negative yung slope natin? So, we can, by inspecting kung saan yung inclination ng slope natin, we can already identify kung positive siya, negative, 0, or infinite. So, if m is going this way, so it's going right upwards, so it says that our slope is positive. And then if slope is going downwards, diagonally, it's negative. And if our slope is going horizontally straight, its value is 0. And if our slope is going infinitely upwards or vertical, or even downwards, it's infinite. The slope is infinite. Okay, so from slope, we'll now be going to the topic of the distance. So, distance of a line, the formula for this has been derived from the Pythagorean theorem formula. So, it's the c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Kasi, di ba, kapag nagsosolve tayo ng triangle, di ba yan? Ito yung x mo, ito yung A side, ito yung B side, and this is the C side. So, it's very comparable sa kung paano natin titignan yung slope ng line. Kasi diba, ito yung change in y, ito yung change in x. So, for the distance formula, we have d is equals to the square root of parenthesis x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus quantity y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So, let's have an example so that we can apply this formula. So, let's say we have a point 3, negative 2, and 5, 1. So, for this pair, this is the abscissa, and this is the ordinate. We have the second abscissa and second ordinate. So, let's label it para hindi tayo malito. Okay, so we plug into the formula. We have 5 minus negative 2 squared plus we have 5 so 5 minus 3 squared. So we input it to the calculator and this should be 1. So we get the distance of square root of 13 units. So, when we're dealing with Cartesian coordinate system and the unit of measurement is not given, we simply use units since each part of the Cartesian coordinate system is represented by 1 unit. Okay. So now we move on to another thing under analytic geometry, which is the angle of inclination represented by theta. So it says that if we get the tangent of theta equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, so this is equivalent to m. So this part is the formula for the slope. So to get the angle of inclination theta, we will just have to get the inverse tangent of the slope. So let's try again this given here to try the formula or to get their angle of inclination. So let's first get the slope. Wait, ang pangit ng pesto ko. Cut down. So let's try to get the slope first of the given 3, negative 2, and 5, 1. So we have 1 minus negative 2 all over 5 minus 3. So with this, we get a slope of, so this is 3 over 2. So its angle of inclination is 56.331 degrees. So here we have the slope and the angle of inclination of these points. So now we have the slope, the distance, and the angle of inclination. So now let's move on to the point of intersection and angle of intersection. So now let's move on to the topic of POI, or point of intersection of lines. So let's say we have these two lines named L1 and L2, and they intersected at this point. So it says in the concept of analytic geometry that if these two lines intersected and are perpendicular to each other, so the slope of the first line will be m is equals to negative a over b, and the slope of the other line that intersected it and is perpendicular to it will be the negative reciprocal of the slope of the other line, which is also equals to negative b over A. So let's try to get the slope of these two examples and their point of intersection. So let's say that the slope of this equation of line is m1 and the other line is m2. So for m1, we have negative, so its value of a is 3, and the value of its b is negative 2. So negative 3 over negative 2. So the negative values will be cancelled, so it's 3 over 2. And for m2, we have negative, so 2 over 3. So it satisfies the concept that the slope of the intersected line is the negative reciprocal. So ito, yung slope ng unang equation natin is 3 over 2, and yung slope ng pangalawang line natin na nag-intersect is negative 2 over 3. So it's the negative reciprocal of the 3 over 2. So now we'll get their point of intersection since napatunayan na natin na sila ay perpendicular to each other, so they intersected. So for the point of intersection, we can simply use the function of our calculator by using the two equation to a node. So we go to the mode and equation. So we choose the linear equation since this is both these are both lines, so we just use the linear equation. So we input the values of a, b, and c. So for a, we have the first equation 3, negative 2, and negative 5. So 2, 3, and 7. So for the x value, so we have POI. So we have for x is negative 1 over 13, so it's a fraction. And for y, we have 31 over 13. So this is the point where these two lines will intersect and will be perpendicular to each other. So now that we know how to get the point of intersection of two lines, we'll now go through the angle of intersection. So let's say we have here two lines again, L1 and L2, and they intersected at this point. So L1 has an angle of inclination with respect to the x-axis, which is named as theta 1, while L2 here has an angle with respect to the x-axis again, which is named as theta 2. So the angle of intersection is the angle between those two lines. So nag-intersect sila dito and they form the angle between them. So yun yung angle of intersection. So here is the angle of intersection. So ito daw, angle of intersection na to, makukuha natin using this formula, which is tan theta is equals to the slope of the second line minus the slope of the first line all over 1 plus the product of the two slopes. So let's try this formula by using this example given. So we have the first slope as 1/2 and the second slope 4. So using this formula, let's plug it in. So we have theta, which is the angle of intersection, equals the inverse tangent of, so we have the second slope 4, minus 1/2 all over 1 plus the product of 1/2 and 4. So we multiply 1/2 and 4. So with that, we'll get the angle of intersection as 49.4. So we have an angle of intersection 49.4 degrees. So that's the angle of intersection. So now we'll go to tackle the equations of the line. So in general form, we have this equation of the line ax plus by plus c is equals to 0, wherein a and b are both numerical coefficients. So When given points, intercept, or slope, we can form the equation of the line in three ways. So this is the first way. We have the two-point form. So here we are given two pairs of point or two pairs of coordinates. So we'll use this formula as y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1 is equals to y minus y sub 1 all over x minus x sub 1. So as you can see, the pair of points we have here is the x sub 1 and y sub 1 and x sub 2, y sub 2. So isn't this formula familiar? So we can also get a slope through this formula. So sometimes the two-point form can also be used as a slope point form, wherein we have the slope and we have a pair of points. So next one, we have the intercept form, wherein we're given the x-intercept and y-intercept of the line, and the other details of the line are not given. So we'll use this formula: x over a plus y over b is equals to 1. So a here will be our x-intercept and b here is our y-intercept. And for the last one, we have the slope-intercept form. I guess you're all familiar with this. So it is y equals mx plus b, wherein m is our slope and b here is our intercept. So now we have here an example. We're given a pair of points, 3, negative 2, and 5, 1. So we plug this using this formula. Since we're given 2 points, we're gonna use 2-point form. So let's label it to x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, and y sub 2 para hindi tayo malito sa pagpa-plug sa equation. So y sub 2, we have 1 minus y sub 1, negative 2, all over x sub 2, we have 5 minus x sub 1, 3, equals y. So y and x here are our variables. So y minus y sub 1, negative 2 again, all over x minus x sub 1, 3. So we'll just manipulate the equation. We solve here. So 1 minus negative 2 is 3. All over 2 equals y plus 4 all over x minus 3. So by cross multiplication, we will get 3x minus 9 equals 2y. Wait, this is not 4 yet, so this is 2. I'm sorry for that. So this is y plus 2, and then 2y plus 4. So we'll just rearrange the equation so that on the other side of the equal sign, we'll just get 0. So 3x minus 2y, so negative 9, so we transpose 4, negative 9 minus 4 is negative 13, equal 0. So we already got our equation of the line. So for the other example, we're given x-intercept and y-intercept, 3 and 5 respectively. So if we're given this, we're going to use the intercept form, which is x over a plus y over b equals 1. So x over a, 3, plus y over b, we have 5, equals 1. So we'll just manipulate the equation again so that we can arrive at this general equation of the line. So 5x plus 3y, so we cross multiply it. So 3 times 5 is equals to 15. So we get here the 15. So we multiply it there. So 5x plus 3y is equals to 15. And we transpose it back here. We get 5x plus 3y minus 15 is equals to 0. And we already get the equation of the line in general form. So that's how we use the 2-point form and the intercept form. So in this next example, we are given two pairs of points, 3, -2, and 5, 1, and a y-intercept with a value of -13. So what we're gonna use is the slope-intercept form. Even though we're given 2 points, however, it is the y-intercept is also given for this equation of line. So we'll try to use the slope-intercept form. So given using the equation y is equals to mx plus b, we're gonna plug in our given. So with these 2 points, we can get the slope of the line. So y is equals to, so we get x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1, 1 minus -2, all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, 5 minus 3, x plus -13. So we just resolve the equation. So we get here 3 over 2x plus -13, or simply minus 13. So as you can see, this form is in the slope-intercept form. So we're gonna have to manipulate this to get to the general equation of the line. So we transpose everything to the other side. So -3 over 2x plus y plus 13 is equals to 0. Or we can multiply -1 so that the first term of our equation is not negative. So we multiply everything by -1, so we'll get 3 over 2x minus y minus 13 equals 0. So we get the final general equation of this line as 3 over 2x minus y minus 13 equals 0.